Hello, welcome. Welcome to Everyday Ordinary Extraordinary Men. I am Martina and I'm here with Christina,
Hello.
and we are your podcast hosts. So let me tell you a little bit about the context. Most humans have a lot of preconceived notions and stereotypes about gender. For example, men are tough or silent and forceful, women are chatty, manipulative, or emotional. And in doing that, we put people in a box and often forget to see beyond those labels. And if someone is not fitting the mold, we might call them a tomboy or a sissy. And those and similar labels often cause a lot of discord. So what would the world look like where we go beyond our preconceived notions and understand that we are much more than our gender? That we humans are strong and soft and gentle and deep and powerful and tough and fierce and open, and that qualities are not specific to a gender, that we all have all qualities available to express. What would the world look like where we all are free to be who we choose to be and express all of our emotions? So when we allow ourselves to express the so-called masculine and feminine qualities within ourselves, we set ourselves free. And when we allow others to do the same, when we accept all of them, we create synergy, peace, and harmony. So today we have J.O. with us. Welcome, Jay. Do you want to tell us who you are? Do you want to tell us a little about yourself?
Sure. Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's a wonderful opportunity. Um, so my name is Jay, and I live in New York, and I am married. I have four children. For the last 30 years, I've been a pastor and a bioethicist. So, um, I teach medical ethics to undergrad students and nursing students and some grad students and public health ethics. So that's been my passion and joy. And also working in ministry in the church to bringing people together to have harmony and to like Martina said to coexist together. It's not about a competition or differences, but emphasizing really what we're like and how I guess I might say a little different how we are created to be, who we are made to be, and have that freedom to be that person. So I'm glad to be part of this today, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it's exactly that, right? It's can we be free to be
Yes.
ourselves, right?
Mhm.
That's the purpose of why we're doing this, right? To just, you know, give ourselves permission to
Exactly.
to access all of it. So Jay, I know you mostly through your beautiful wife and your beautiful children, and it's just an honor to get to know you a little bit more each time. And I am so happy that you're here. Like I know from your daughter, who's friends with my daughter, that you're kind of a jack of all trades, and it's fascinating, right? It's almost like you created your own path, and I think that is just so beautiful, right? Because you work a little bit here, work a little bit there, and at least that's how it was portrayed to me. And I think it's just so beautiful that you're created your own life, right? Out of a little bit out of the norm, I'm going to call
Mhm,
it.
mhm.
Um, so, Jay, could you finish this sentence for me? If
Sure.
we really knew you, what would we know about you?
Ah, that's actually a question I'm afraid that people might ask if you really know me. Um, but like you said, I think what I am attracted to in life or what I am doing is slightly different from what is norm. Um, I think rules and boundaries are there for a purpose, and sometimes they protect us, and they're generally good. But I think society has certain expectations of us, men and women or children, older, all kinds of things. And again, they're generally good, but that can limit us. So just as you mentioned, yeah, I think it's true that I have created, I didn't mean to do this, but I am just like Christina, I like to learn new things. So whenever there's an opportunity for me to learn new things, whether it's cooking, whether it's in academia, whether it's just watching TV, I love just knowing something I didn't know before, just getting to know an individual where everybody has a unique story to tell. And no one can tell the story unless other than that person. So just listening to people sometimes it just brings joy. And that's not, like you said, normal. And so I had been criticized and saying that, no, no, that's strange. That's weird. You shouldn't be doing that. You should focus. And again, there is merit in that. Um, so, sometimes balancing that little bit, good advice from both sides. So yeah, if people were to really know me, a lot of people say you're different from who I thought you were. So I guess how I portray myself, or maybe I'm trying to fit into the mold. And then when they get to know me, they realize there's a little bit of rebel in him. Maybe he doesn't really fit in. So yeah, that's what I hear most often. You're different from what I thought who you are. Hopefully that's not a bad thing, but
I think that's a great thing, especially you're a pastor and a professor, and I think most of us would come with preconceived notions of who a pastor is
right.
or a professor, right? Definitely more so a pastor, but
Right. Mhm.
but when you meet people and you learn that there's so much more than just that job. And
Right.
although I think a pastor is much more than job, it's more your life calling. Um and I suppose plenty of people's jobs are their life calling too, like myself as
Sure.
a massage
Mhm.
therapist, it's more calling too. But yeah, no,
I mean,
I
we're all called to be who we are and do what we do. But like in our society, being a pastor, it has that. I mean, it's a privilege. And I love what I do, and I love to be in a place where I can, help people and add, speak life into their lives, so to speak. But when I introduce myself, if I say I'm a pastor, that's a conversation stopper. Most people don't know how to act, and then they walk away, and we don't have an opportunity to get to know each other. So I get that. I understand that. So sometimes I just say I'm a teacher. And then look, so what do you teach? Right? Then it comes out, it's like, oh, wait a minute, you're a pastor. Why didn't you say that? And then they walk away. I mean, 90% of the time, well, maybe 80% of the time, it becomes a conversation stopper. And I'm like, I'm not here to judge you or teach you or anything like that, but maybe that is a preconceived notion. Maybe came from a good place, but socially it becomes awkward. So yes, it is true. So I feel like I'm lying when I say I'm a teacher, and I don't want to lie. And then it's like, you're a pastor, you lied. I mean, I get that too. Why didn't you say you're a pastor? I was like, no, I wasn't hiding it. It just, I wanted to get to know you, and I want you to get to know me before you think I am, like put me in a box, right? And again,
absolutely.
that box is not a bad thing, but you know, before you put me there, you're gonna
It can
put me
be
in some kind
limiting,
of
right?
box,
it,
but
it
get
can
to know
limit.
me, right?
Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
for sure.
Yeah.
What came to mind is when you meet a doctor,
Mhm.
like that's at least what I hear, right? People meet a doctor and say, oh, you're a doctor. Okay, I have this one. Can you just tell me what
Exactly.
this
Can
is,
you tell
right?
me what?
It
Yeah,
seems like
my
a
arm
pastor,
hurts. And,
yeah, a pastor has this image of, oh, you have to be good. That's why I better not talk to you because if I'm not good, then I'm in trouble, right?
I do hear a lot of good things that people say, right? They say, "Oh, I've done this, I helped somebody, or I prayed, or it's like, which is wonderful." But then I'm thinking, can you tell me something other than what I call spiritual resume? They always give me all the good stuff they've done, which is wonderful. But then, who are you really? And this is all not all who I am either.
I was
So
just going to say
yeah,
that. Yeah,
it's
there's
not
so
a
much more to
confessional. Like,
you.
let's just talk and get to know each other, have fun.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, it's so good. All right, so Jay, tell us a funny or silly or embarrassing story.
Oh, there's so many. But when I told my wife, and she's like, "Are you gonna say that?" But I think I will. So when I was in first grade, we're talking about this gender role here. I had a longer hair than most boys, and my mom always wanted a daughter, and I'm an only child. So it's like she let me grow my hair, not that long, but just slightly longer. And I was very small and frail, and I had very pale. So a lot of people thought I looked like a girl. So, well, in my first grade class, they separated boys and girls. This is a while back, right? So all the boys sit here, all the girls sit there, kind of thing. And they put me in a girl side. So I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I'm in the wrong side. So I got to go to boys side. So I moved, and teacher said, no, no, go back there. So I went back, and then I'm thinking, no, I'm supposed to be with the boys. So I went there again, and the teacher came and said, why you keep going to boys side? You're a girl. You should stay here. So I said, no, I'm a boy. Like, she's like, no, you're not, you know? So I pulled out my pants and said, see, I am a boy. And then she's like, oh, whoops. And then she called my mom and, all the things. But so she put me in the boy side. So I had to prove myself physically that I'm actually a boy. You don't sound like a boy. You don't look like a boy. You don't act like a boy. So there is that stereotype, right? That they were expecting, which I wasn't exhibiting. Right. So yeah, that's I was so young. I didn't feel embarrassed. I just had to prove myself, but I guess that is, when you think about it, kind of an embarrassing thing.
And like what you're sharing reminds me of, so when my daughter was born, my son, he just wanted to accessorize like she did. And I was like, well, if you want to accessorize, you have to let your hair grow, because you cannot put hair clips in your hair if you don't have hair, right? And I thought that was his choice, right? And he loved it. He loved nail polish. He loved everything. And then there was a point, I think he was about 4, where a girl said, that's for girls. And he came home and he just wanted to have his hair cut right away. And in a way, it's so sad, because it's an expression, right? It's an expression of who you are and however you want to be, right?
Yes,
Doesn't
definitely.
make you girl at all, right? He's a boy, like he's a man, right? But still, that was the conversation. It was
No,
quite
yes, that's
something.
definitely true. Yeah. I mean, I love babies, and I like to babysit, and that's usually expected from girls, And so when I was a student, I always volunteered to babysit for my professors and my friends or people in the church, and they're like, "Well, thank you, but like I want a girl," and I get that to a degree, but so as I got older, I was able to, I guess, babysit older kids. And when I had kids, actually, all their girlfriends, because I have 3 daughters, all the girlfriends came. I have a stash of nail polish that I don't put on myself, but then I have them, to use with my girls. And so I paint their nails. I'm not good at it, but I paint their nails and do all kinds of things. And I took a photo. I sent it to somebody, their parents. They said, "Hey, look at my this stash of nail polish." And the text came back and said, "Pastor Jay, is this Gina?" So I said, "No, no, this is me, Jay." It's like, "Are they yours?" So I'm thinking, oh, again, like I wasn't thinking, because this is mine. This is me. But then this is not what they're expecting. So now she probably thinks I'm weird. She will never let me babysit
Or
again.
she's picturing your toenails painted blue or something.
Exactly. I mean, when I was actually in seminary, I painted my pinky with the bright fluorescent green, just my pinky. And all my guy friends are like, "Okay, go sit over there. Don't sit next to me." I mean, they were joking, but it's like, why are you so weird? And I was like, I just wanted to do that. I'm not doing anything wrong. I'm not breaking any laws. I'm not hurting anybody.
I think it's great when I see guys with their nails. I have a client actually who was in this week. He comes in for a couples massage with his girlfriend. The last 2 times he's had his toenails painted. This week it was like an art or like a yellowy color. And the other therapist, she's like, I'm like,
Yeah,
I think it's
it's
great.
a
Like, why shouldn't men paint their nails if they want to paint their nails?
freedom of
That was always my
expression.
favorite when I went to the nail salon in New York City. You don't see men in nail salons in St. Louis getting pedicures that
Mm,
often.
mm,
But in New York City, when I lived in Greenwich Village, you would see guys come in all the time. And
mm.
they'd be like, come in with their girlfriends, but then they'd be like, what do you think I should get? And we're like, how about black? And from this one, I was like, black?
Yeah,
Isn't that what all guys would get? I should get a color. And
right.
he had this bright
Hmm,
red, and he was all proud of
that's
himself with
interesting.
his red toes. And I'm like, why not? Why shouldn't everyone experience that if they want to, right?
Right. Even when you accept that it's slightly out of norm, there still is some kind of limit, right?
There's something
Good
little
old
joy that
black,
you get
that's
looking
fine.
down at your cute little toes with some polish on them.
Interesting.
Not
Yeah.
even to mention how nice it feels when someone is massaging your feet and taking care of your
Mm.
toenails and all of that. That's a whole nother piece of the
I'd be
puzzle.
very ticklish, but yeah.
I'm really ticklish too, but I still really enjoy a
Mm.
good pedicure. So, yeah.
Well, but it's interesting, right? It's that, like, again, it's the stereotypes, right? It's like,
Yeah.
girls get to do that, boys don't get to do that. And
Mhm.
then there's certain things boys get to do and girls do not get to do,
Right.
right?
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's fascinating.
Well,
So
especially too because we are blurring so much of those lines, but in some areas it's still so really rigid and strict.
Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Mhm.
So Jay, tell us about the time you took a chance for love. And it's not necessarily romantic love, it
Right.
might be for yourself, for your family.
You know, does it have to be about a person?
nope.
For me, um, eh, like I said, I love learning new things. So whenever there's an opportunity for me to learn things, um, so yeah, I guess, like you said, maybe this is not a love in a traditional sense or a romantic kind of love. And of course, my best, relational experience is when I met my wife, and there's a whole lot of story. I need a couple hours to tell. But what I'm particularly thinking about is I love cooking. Even when we first when we first met, my wife was like, okay, so when we get married, I'll do most of the cooking and you do the cleaning. I said, how about if we switch that? I hate cleaning. I don't want to do dishes. I make a mess when I cook. How about if I cook, right? And let's have a competition, who's a better cook, because I've been cooking longer, right? I've been living longer. So I'm like, I can win this one. So that she can do all the cleaning. But really, like I love even with kids, like they may not like it, but I love making food for people. I like it when they take, even if they don't like it. And I always ask for, how can I improve? A lot of people, when they cook, they're like, they want to hear affirmation, like that, this was great. This was great. If it is great, yes. But if somebody tells me this is great, that doesn't help me. Tell me what's missing, at least for you, right? Too much salt, too little salt, too much sugar, it's not whatever, spicy enough, too spicy. Then next time I cook for you, I can improve, right? At least for you. So I'm a little bit of a pleaser. So, but I like doing that. And cooking is such an expression for me. I'm not a great cook, but I love doing it. So for me, that's almost like a love relationship. When I do it, I feel good. Like if I can do anything, besides this calling and ministry, I want to cook. I want to have like, I don't want to hold the business side of it, and you must cook for X number of people, kind of that side, but just for the fun of it. So I know it's a little strange, but it's out of norm, right?
Not
This
strange at
something.
all.
Yeah.
So, I hear just your passion, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
that in itself is love, but the love of serving others,
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
but the piece I love the most was when you're talking about how you prefer people to really communicate with you,
Right.
how what was missing and what worked, because that in and of itself is teaching how to communicate in a
Hmm.
relationship in a safe way. That's really important, and
Right.
so that's really really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. Thank you. That's a great way to look at it. Right. Hmm. Hmm.
Because we're often so afraid to give feedback like that, right? But if you can actually really start start taking that on inside of cooking, right? What's missing here? Then
Right.
it's easier
As
to do
long
that
as
in
you're
other
kind, I want to
areas.
improve. Right. Like
Right.
you don't have to say that's the worst thing I've ever tasted. Just say, hey, it's missing this ingredient in a
Right.
kind manner. Then
Yeah.
it's helping me to do better, or at least do better for you. And that, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. I think it's really good. And
The,
I
the
think
other, the, oth- yeah, the other thing I hear, it's like it's service, right? It's a form of
yes.
service,
Mhm.
taking care of people.
That's true. Yeah.
It's a way of expressing love as well. That's
That's
what I hear.
also sort
Yeah.
of like again, maybe it's not a bad thing, but stereotypically a gender role. Like, women take care of others, men don't. And it's like, yeah, there's a lot of truth to it, but at the same time, anybody can do this, right? And you don't have to be afraid or be made fun of. And, I've been called sissy, I've been called feminine, all that kind of things in a negative way. And but what's also strange, sometimes I think of this about myself, is that there's a societal norm. I think, again, there are boundaries and norms there for good reasons and good purposes, but seldom I don't really care. If you think I'm sissy, okay, that's great. You think that, but I don't care, this is who I am. Now, if it starts to bother you in a certain way and it hurts our relationship, then we need a conversation. But other than that, I'm not hurting anyone. Then this is who I am. Not so that I'll just live the way I want to, kind of thing. But I am not so afraid. Certain things I am very afraid because I'm such a pleaser. Certain things I really don't care when it comes to these kind of things. I'm rebellious in a strange sense that you think I'm sissy? Fine. You define me that way, but this is who I am. I'm happy, right? Um, but there are times the funny thing is like, don't do that in public or don't wear that in public. I'm like, okay, I'm with you. So I'll dress like a guy, No, I'm kidding, but yep.
Well, what is cool about that is it seems like you're clear on who you are, right? So if somebody tells you you're a sissy, you're just like, okay, well, that's your opinion. Thank you very much.
Mhm. Yep.
Let's move
Pretty
on,
much.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm. All right, Jay, we're going to move on to a multi-part question here. I'm
All
going to read
right.
them to you. You can answer one. It might be one answer for all of them.
Sure.
I'm just going to read them and you can kind of pick how you're going to go. So, what was your biggest lesson that you've learned? For example, like what is your biggest challenge? What made you who you are today? What took the most courage? Or tell us about a time you took a stand for something that really mattered to you.
Mhm. I think all these things that I'm learning, it's really learning about who I am. I mean, there's a part of me where I don't care what you say, I'll be who I am, but I'm constantly learning about who I am. Sometimes it's reflecting on other people, what they say, sometimes reflecting on my own. I think the biggest lesson and challenge and all these things is really marriage, itself made a difference for me. When I grew up, as an only child and, going to church all my life. I wanted to be a pastor since I was 10 years old, 11 years old. And so I thought my life was pretty set. I have this clear calling, at such a young age that I didn't even probably know what it was in looking back. Um, so I always thought, um, because I didn't have sibling and people say like, there's this, there's stuff that goes on with siblings. Um, I just had a conversation with the family with 6 and 8 year olds. Like, my brother got more chocolate milk than I did, and you're a bad father, or you pour him a little more. So I'm like, wow, I didn't do that to my parents. So I always thought, hey, you're such a good kid, right? I always thought I was a nice person until I got married. I didn't realize how selfish I was. When my wife put toothpaste on the wrong side of the sink, I thought, this is crazy. Everybody puts toothpaste on this side, not on that side. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? That has nothing to do with life or relationship. But because of just my habit, it's not right and wrong. I knew that. But, and I'm like, I have to get her to put this on this side. And then as I was learning, you know what? It really doesn't matter. In fact, I'm going to find out where she prefers and I want to put it there. And it took me years to like, oh, I'm not used to this. I was a little older when I got married. So like, I've been doing this for like 30 years and, I can't do this. And to realize that's really petty and little. So those little things were challenging to me. And also I lived alone for like 12 years before I got married. So, from young age, and my wife, was living with her family and when she got married, so she was used to living with people. I was not. So having another person in the house, although she was the love of my life and I did not want to be separated from her, there are times I'm like, huh, it's interesting why people do these kind of things. And then I realized, again, that's not important. But to me, it took those little things to learn something about me. And it was challenging for me to, again, learning new things was okay, but it was challenging for me to actually do something about it. Because it's easy to think like, oh, I can do this for somebody. I can do this for my wife. I can do this for love of my life. You can think it. Doing it is different story. So I learned that about myself. In theory, things are great. And, as I'm teaching, or preaching, it's like, what the Bible says. And yeah, I can tell you that, but am I doing that? Nobody is. I know that. But it's like, wow, you know, this just try to live the life that you believe is good or beneficial or pleasing God. It's not easy. So, it's really every day. But getting married opened my eyes about, you have a lot to improve. You have to grow as a human being. And I thought I was like a pretty good person. So she opened my eyes in that.
It's just adding new perspectives, right? Like
Yes, yes.
you grow up in a house with you're the only child.
Hmm.
That's your limited perspective, and
Yeah,
then you go out into the world to get
yep,
some new ones. But living
definitely.
with a woman, that's a whole new perspective. Then you had
Yeah,
some kids, and
I was going to
yeah.
say, and then you add
Yes,
the kids
having
to it, and
children.
then
Oh,
you
yes.
definitely learn, grow.
Definitely learned. I didn't know how evil I was. See, when I got married, I learned how selfish I was, right? I thought I was a pretty good person, and I'm like, I'm pretty selfish. Now, after I have kids, I'm an evil person. Like, it's like I mean, not necessarily in a bad way. It's a good eye-opening thing, but it was very difficult. Not difficult, challenging thing, and good at the same time. Yeah.
it was good.
That is, yeah, it's definitely, life is definitely a learning
Hmm.
field, I'm gonna call it. And it's a constant, like it's a constant opportunity, right? What
Right.
I like to tell my children is at the end of the day, you go to bed with yourself. So you know if you did good or bad.
That's good.
Even if there's a person sleeping next to you, you go
Right.
to bed with yourself, right? And
Exactly.
and if you did good, you will feel good. If you did bad, then you will feel bad, and it's your choice, right? And
That's
but
very
it
true.
is the constant process of wanting to grow and improve
Mhm.
and challenge yourself to be like a better being in a way, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah, I
like
think that is the
and
freedom that you're talking about, right? Right?
yeah,
And it's not about, it doesn't depend on, or no, or I guess it could in a good way, but it doesn't depend on what other people think or say about you. You
yeah,
know?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
that inner feeling, right? Like, did I do the best I could do today?
Right.
And I love the little example you gave of like, with your wife with the toothpaste and like, this is where I like it. And can I get her to put it where I like it? And then finally, like, well, where does she like it? Like,
Mhm. Mhm.
I love that process, right? Like,
Right.
if we can
Right.
all kind of get to that place of like, oh, like I'm spending so much energy on being annoyed by where it's sitting,
Right.
and I just be like, oh, where does she like it? I'm okay with that spot. Great, let's just move on. Because we waste so much energy, like
Right.
focusing on those silly little things that really take us away from focusing on the stuff we really want to
Right.
create
In
and
hindsight, it never mattered. But then at
right.
that moment, it's just annoying, and then it becomes such a big deal. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, really good.
um, there's something else I wanted to say about, like about the room for improvement, right? At the same time, we also have to stop and give ourselves grace for
Mm.
who we are, right? Not just, okay, there's the next level, but just like, it's okay. I'm imperfect. It's okay. I'm perfect in my imperfection, right? And give ourselves grace for that, and still, you know, attempt to do our best. And our best is not the same now as it was half an hour ago, as it will be tomorrow, or it was yesterday, right? Right now, my best.
That's true.
So
Thank you
so we can be at peace with ourselves, right? At the end of
Right.
the
I
day.
think that, yeah, that makes us better, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Mhm.
hard. It's hard for some people, I think most of us.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's for
We're hard on
most people.
ourselves.
It's
Yeah.
something we need to learn, right? It's
Mhm.
just like, or practice, I guess.
Right. That's
So,
right.
um, so Jay, what do you do to recharge your batteries? Like, how do you fill your tank?
Mm. You know, I'm an introvert, so I like to be alone. The only other human being that I need to be with is my wife. Okay, she recharges me. My children, I love them to death, and there are times they do, but there are times I need to be alone. So most of the time when I'm alone, just think about things maybe I shouldn't be thinking about, but they help me to recharge, help me to just be who I am on my own. Again, the pleaser side of me is when I'm with other people, like what do they expect from me? And also being a pastor, where they tell you what they expect from you, and they're disappointed. When I was in seminary, my professor said, on Sundays, when you go to church, you have to smile, you have to be welcoming. And so, of course, like that's part of the job. People do that in restaurants, people anywhere, right? And they said, no, 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 it's possible. Nobody thinks that everybody's going to like them, right? There's somebody in this world may not like you, maybe annoy with you for no reason whatsoever. But if pastor doesn't like you, you're in deep trouble. So you're a pastor, make sure that you smile. And that probably was a good advice. But then when I was in school, I was like, haha, yes, after 10, 20 years into it, it became a burden to me because sometimes Sunday mornings, to be honest with you, sometimes I don't want to go to church, but I have to. There are times I have to go and smile because it is part of my job, which is a privilege. But then that voice, which was an amazing good advice, was always in the back of my mind. Oh, no, no, no. If I don't want this person to think that I don't like this person, it's just because I wasn't smiling, because I was thinking about something else or something that happened 2, 3 weeks ago. So because of that, when I'm with other people, um, I can relax. So being alone helps me to recharge, whether it's reading or doing nothing, or, I used to not like this, but watching something that makes me laugh, reading something, that makes me laugh. Um, I have to work hard to laugh. so, so, yeah, it's just taking a walk, just being in nature by myself. Um, those things are very helpful. Yeah.
Really good stuff. I can relate. As a massage therapist, I need a lot of alone time to decompress. And it's probably the thing my boyfriend does not quite really understand.
Mm.
Um, that I need my little bubble when I need my bubble. um, but it's it's what I need, and I make no apologies for it, right? Like, and it's probably why we still have two separate apartments, and that's okay too. So, Jay, what would you say your superpower is?
I read that. I was thinking, like, I don't know, do I have one? You know, just I can be very analytical at times, but um, so we take this personality spiritual inventories, right? What always comes up on top is discernment. Um, it's this, I guess it's not just knowing stuff, but it's sometimes it's intuitive, sometimes by observation. For most of the time, for me, it's an observation, and to make wise choices, right? And I don't always make wise choices, but without it, I'll be making foolish choices all the time. So yeah, if that is one, the discernment, or sense of that, would be it would be something that I didn't expect that I would have. So
Mm, really cool. I love that answer. Discernment. So yeah, I this is a new answer. I've never had this one before. I love it. I
thank
love
you.
it. So yeah, so you're really gonna like examine all the information and process it, and
It was a fun for me. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I love it.
Yeah, that's like if I like in listening to you, I would say that it is like your love of learning, your love of understanding, your love of growing, your curiosity, actually, your
Yeah,
innate curiosity too.
like knowing how things work and
Mhm.
Yeah, and make them better, right? That's
yes,
that's a, that's
That's
another
possibly,
part.
yes,
That's another
yes.
part to it. Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. So, Jay, if you had a magic wand and you could give people any quality, what would it be and why?
You know, I nowadays, I mean that, these things we think about probably changed over the years, but nowadays, I I would want people to be kind. Like kindness would be the gift that I want to give to everybody, to myself and to everybody else. Um, so for me, sometimes being analytical, I can be critical, right? And that's not what I'm trying to do. But also, I like to hear, um, you know, ideas and thoughts so I can improve. Not everybody's wired that way. Some people thrive on affirmation, and that is okay, you know. But for me, um, affirmation without explanation, or even affirmation with the explanation, like, well, I already knew that, so that doesn't add to anything. I mean, it should, but that's how I'm thinking all the time. So um, even when you try to help, sometimes it comes out the wrong way. And there are a lot of unkind people. I mean, I don't know why these days. I'm sure in human history, it's been this way, but nowadays I feel like people are very unkind, in their conduct, in their behavior, in their expression, even with good intentions. We became very short. We call this microwave society. We want everything to be done yesterday, and I'm wired that way too. So I can be very impatient, and be an annoyance to other people. So I want to be kind. So and also I want to be treated that way, right? So yeah, if I can wave a magic wand, that would be the gift that I want to give to myself and to the world, to humanity.
we could all use some more kindness. That's for sure.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and then we can work out our differences. We can talk things out. Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, like even if you just like if like your act of kindness is just like taking a breath before you say what wants to automatically
Exactly.
come out of your mouth,
That's
right?
very
Like
good. Yes, right.
you just maybe keep that to yourself, right?
Right. So we
like
don't hurt each other. Yes. Yes.
mm-hmm. Yeah, really good. Jay, what are you most grateful for?
I'm as we will get older, I am grateful for each day. I never used to think this way. When you wake up, you live your life and you have to live it to the fullest and you do your best and you have to be efficient. That's been my motto in life and still is to a degree. But you know, every moment I experience is really a gift. I know it's a cliche, and everybody says that, and it's true. And I'm actually experiencing that. I'm like, what these people have said is true. Um, so the the moments I get to spend, with my wife, with my kids, and like as they're getting older now, they don't want to spend time with us. They want to leave, and which is a wonderful thing. But um, yeah, it's just each moment, every day. Oh, I'm just grateful to be healthy and alive, right? To be able to experience things. I've, I've worked at a nursing home for a number of years, and because of their disease or because their age, advanced in age, not simply because of that, but people with dementia, they don't know what's going on. Maybe they're happy internally. Maybe we're just observers are unhappy. Maybe our heart is breaking, but it is sad to see that. And um I've also, yeah, experienced that in our family. So for me, you know being able to experience and know what's going on and feel it, know it, I'm grateful. Someday I might not be able to know what's going on, you know? So, yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
So Jay, the last question. What is the legacy you want to leave? Like, what do
Oh,
you want people to remember about you?
I think, right, it's like a, if they were to put one word on my, epitaph, would be, um, you know, passion, that he was a passionate person, you know, may not have been passionate about the right things or at the right time, but did everything to the fullest, the best of my ability. Um, I guess, you know, sometimes it's too much for others. Like everything I do, everything I'm involved with, I want to give my 100%. So if you're not passionate about something, um, for me, like, why are you doing it? So sometimes I'm very hot and cold and extreme, like, oh, so you obviously don't care. It's like, no, I do care. It's just I'm not passionate about that thing. But when I'm passionate about it, I'm like, whoa, like, you know, what's wrong with you? It's like, no, I'm just very excited about it. So, um, and I'm okay with that. People already recognize that, and they label it in different things. But if they you know, see me as somebody who is passionate about anything, dreams and serving others, or even cooking or whatever, it doesn't have to be something significant, but everything is significant because you're involved in it. So yeah, that would be a legacy I want to sort of leave, and people want to remember me as Jay was he lived this life with passion.
I love it. And that's what comes through loud and clear. Just being with you for this time on this podcast is your passion and love of life, and being of service to people. Just really special. Martina, anything you want to share?
Yes, absolutely. Of course. It's like what I hear is passion like equals to being alive in a way. That's what I hear when you talk about it. And it's just really beautiful. We need alive people, right? We really need alive people and excited people. And so thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's fun.
Mhm.
Fun.
Yeah, Jay, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your passion, because it really is electrifying and inspiring to just be around you. Um, Thank you, everyone, for being here, for listening. If you loved what you heard, please leave us a review. Please share with your friends. And please remember, you are extraordinary and you rock. Have a wonderful day. Bye for now.
Thank you for being here. Bye-bye. Jay, do you
Thank
want to say
you.
bye?
Thank you so much for this time, and it was fun. I didn't know what to expect. So I had so much fun doing this. Thank you so
We
much.
did too.